Today's video is all about perfumes that are for men, but that I like to wear, and so I have them in my collection. And I've been meaning to do this video for a long time because I've slowly been acquiring scents that are traditionally marketed towards men. But recently, I just got a new bottle of Dior Homme Intense. And so I thought that this was the perfect time to make this video because now it's going to be even longer. I guess I'll just have more to talk about. But yes, Dior Homme Intense, one of the scents that is in my collection. Now I know that in maybe more serious perfume circles, we know that there is no such thing as something that is exclusively for women or exclusively for men. You should wear what you like to wear and not let a company or anybody else tell you whether or not you can wear it. But the other part of this is that in the greater perfume community and maybe like just the world at large, people do actually think of certain scents as being scents for men and certain scents as being more feminine and only women should wear them. Part of it, yes, is due to marketing. Brands say for men, like Dior, saying Dior Homme right on the bottle, signifying that maybe just men should wear these. And you know, if you go into a store to buy perfume, sometimes there's a section that's just for men and a section that's just for women. And also sales associates are trained on certain scents as being more for men and other scents as being more liked by women. And I guess that makes their job easier too, because they're not always perfume lovers or collectors or hobbyists. They're just showing up to do their job. And of course they want to sell perfume, which is completely fine. So part of it, all of that exists. Yes, that's true. Part of it is because of all that marketing that we think of scent as feminine or masculine. But then you sometimes go to a high-end perfume counter, like a Frederic Malle counter, or you walk into the Chanel boutique and you're looking at the Chanel Les Exclusives or the Dior Privé line or any of those more high-end lines, and they're for everybody. They are genderless. They are not separated as being more masculine or more feminine. The juice has different colors sometimes, at least for the Dior line it used to. And anybody can kind of just choose what they like and have a look and smell without any of that gender bias in their head, which is really cool. And I guess like when we have those high-end lines, they're saying that we are so into perfume that we want to attract the other people that are also into perfume. And so we're not going to tell you which is more feminine or more masculine, because we all already know that you can wear whatever you want to wear and you should just smell them all and then choose the ones that are your favorite. That being said, people are often surprised that I have men's perfume in my perfume collection, and I do wear all of these. I was lucky enough that I was either given samples of them or I found samples. I acquired samples just because I wanted to see how they smelled. And then once I wore them on myself, I fell in love with them and decided to add them to my collection. So that's kind of how this has gone. We can start by talking about the oldest perfume, not the oldest perfume by when I bought it. I only acquired this perfume over the summer, so not too long ago, a few months ago. But this perfume was launched in 1934, and that is Caron Pour un Homme. Really, the name is Pour un Homme de Caron. They are saying that this is the first perfume ever for men, ever. So I guess that's because they put Homme right on the bottle, and so they were telling men that this is a perfume for you. And around that time, in the early 1900s, late 1800s, it seems like men wore a lot of eau de colognes. So this was the first time that there was an eau de toilette that was for men. I had a sample of this bottle for a long time, and then I saw that someone was decluttering it, and I bought it over the summer. This is a lavender perfume with a ambery, I would say smooth, slightly woodsy vanilla kind of base. So that is what Pour on Homme is known for being. It is known for being a lavender vanilla. The vanilla is not like the vanillas that we get these days. It's not sweet. It's kind of a dry, powdery vanilla. And the lavender is mixed with other aromatics so that it is really cooling and refreshing. There's definitely styrax in here, and there's benzoin also, and you can kind of smell them here and there. I smell them the most when I first spray the perfume, but that makes for this perfume being more interesting than your typical lavender water, because once those lavender top notes disappear, you're left with a really dry, woodsy vanilla on your skin, and that is quite nice. This is not a strong perfume. If you're thinking about other lavender vanillas, like something like Burberry Goddess, which is so sweet and so strong and has tons of ambroxan and ethyl maltol in it, it's really more of a modern perfume and marketed to women because of how sweet it is. But they say that that is a lavender vanilla perfume. This is so much different than that. I would say this is more of a aromatic lavender and dry woodsy vanilla perfume. It is a little bit old school because it's not so strong and it's not very long lasting, doesn't have intense sillage, but it's more of a pick-me-up. That's how I think of this. I think of it as something that is instantly revitalizing when you spray it on, and you're not spraying it on because you're going to smell it the whole entire day. You're spraying it on because you want to smell something first thing in the morning, and then you're okay with whatever's left over towards the end of the day. So that is Pour on Homme de Caron. You can get other versions of this. I just haven't smelled this. There's a parfum version that's new. There's an eau de parfum. This has been reformulated obviously so many times since 1934. It would be impossible for them to have exactly the same formula, but this is more complex than your typical lavender water or your lavender bed spray, linen spray, or even like a lavender facial mist you might use. This is so much more complex than that, so much more interesting because there are other ingredients that make this change as you wear it. So that's the first one in my collection and the oldest perfume that's in my collection. The one thing I forgot to mention is that Pour on Homme helps us understand why lavender is traditionally thought of as a more masculine note and why people smell lavender or lavender in perfumes and think of it as being more masculine. I think that anyone could wear Pour on Homme. I think that it is genderless. But yeah, when people say that lavender perfumes are masculine, or if something leans masculine because they're smelling the lavender in it, that is understandable. If they had people in their lives, like grandfathers or dads or teachers or anybody that wore Pour on Homme or something that is adjacent to that, then they would always think of lavender as being a very masculine scent. So completely understandable where our ideas of what's masculine and what feminine, where those ideas come from. But if you are just smelling perfume, I think you should close your eyes and just smell everything and see what you like. So I like this. To me, it's just lavender and vanilla, but I like both those notes, so I enjoy this. If we're going by what year the perfumes were first on the market, the next one is Eau d'Hermès by Hermes. I had a sample of this last year and I really enjoyed it and finished my whole sample. Eau d'Hermès came out in 1954 and the perfumer behind it is Edmund Rudnitska. I enjoy Eau d'Hermès. There's lavender in this also, but I like it because I can smell like a spiciness in it. I can smell clove, I can get cinnamon, I get carnation. One of the notes that's listed is leather, but if you're worried about smelling like a new car, you don't have to worry about that. The leather that's in these kinds of old school perfumes is more like a birch tar, soft suede kind of leather. It's not something that's very hard and stiff. And really in your face. And I think that's why, to me, Eau d'Hermès, again, feels genderless. It doesn't feel like a very, very masculine perfume. Where something like Tom Ford ombre leather, that to me feels very masculine because the leather in that is so in your face and so hard that I don't feel that I could pull it off. But Eau d'Hermès I can pull off, and really it's the spiciness that pulls me in and makes this so nice to wear. It is quite a light perfume. You can wear many sprays of it and not have it overstay its welcome. It's also not going to choke out anyone in the room. It's just really easy to wear, and so I like it for that. The spices are peppery and uplifting, and they're not super warm or hot. So if you're worried that the spice is going to be heavy, I don't think you have to worry about that for Eau d'Hermès. I don't find the spice to be too heavy. These aren't like warm spices. They really, really feel like cool spices, and that makes Eau d'Hermès even more enjoyable. So this is one that I like to reach for when it's a little warmer out. Probably spring, summer, fall is when I would reach for this, but of course you could wear it any time of year because it is just so easy to wear. So that's Eau d'Hermès. Next, we are in 1978, and that brings us to Lagerfeld Classic. I've mentioned this perfume before. I feel like it smells like a dry sandalwood incense. It reminds me of cherry wood. I love it. Again, for me, this is a really easy wear. I can wear this all year round. I sampled it before I bought my bottle, but you can find a bottle for definitely less than $50, and it is just so easy to wear. So if you're looking for a sandalwood perfume, a perfume that has really good sandalwood, I suggest you try this. If you're looking for an incense perfume that's affordable and not too strong and not smoky, there's no smoke in here, then try this. This really just smells like a nice piece of unlit sandalwood incense. So that's Lagerfeld Classic. Definitely one of my favorite perfumes of all time, I would say. I like to spray this in my hair also, so that is one of the ways that I wear it. 1998 gave us Boucheron Jaipur Homme. That's the next one in my collection. I have the Eau de Toilette, which was what was originally launched, and then after the success of this, they came out with the Eau de Parfum. The perfumer behind this is Anique Minardo, and she really has a way of working with materials to create this dry, papery, ambery kind of base. Like her vanillas are super dry and papery, woodsy, but they're still vanillas. And this is a refreshing perfume, but with an amber base. So the amber, again, is old school amber, so not super sweet, not strong at all. There's citruses in the opening, so bergamot, that feels really uplifting. But then there are spices, so cinnamon, cardamom. I love cardamom. Cardamom has kind of a dryness as well, like a papery dryness, and a refreshing quality because it's kind of like a mentholated spice. And that goes really well with the carnation in this. But then we have like a more warm, ambery base that's a little bit cozy. This is still, I think this is a perfume you could wear all year round. To me, in my mind, it doesn't seem that it's overly warm or overly cool. I like that it is so citrusy when it starts, but then it really morphs into something that's a little bit warmer. Easy to wear. I think anybody could wear this. But yes, in my mind, it does lean a little bit more masculine. And lavender in there too at the beginning. So maybe a little bit more masculine compared to the other ones that I've said, but if you have an open mind, I think that you should smell this one too. This one, again, easy to wear, not super strong, not overly powerful, not terribly long lasting, but you can get a full day of wear out of this one. So now we're in 2015 and we have Equipage Geranium. This was made by Jean-Claude Ellena. This smells like that classic English leather soap, which doesn't smell like leather, it just smells like a blend of spices. And I love that soap. I love using that soap. I love how it smells. And so once I realized that Equipage Geranium smelled like that soap, this was a no-brainer, had to add it to my collection. I did sample this prior, and at the time, the department store carried Equipage Geranium. So I was able to get a sample of this. I was able to also get a sample of just the Equipage. Equipage was too leathery for me, so I didn't get that. But Equipage Geranium was just right and just felt like it belonged in my collection. So had to get this. I've had this bottle for a couple years. I will say that I don't wear this one very often because it's discontinued. I had heard that Hermes was going to repackage all their older scents and make the bottles refillable, but what I've seen is that this has disappeared from their website and from counters. There's no testers, there's nothing left. So I feel like it's gone, whereas something like Eau de Hermes is still available online and in stores on the counter. And so it's still easy to find. But this one seems to be gone for right now. So I don't know how long their repackaging is going to take. And once they do repackage everything, if this one is still going to be there. So don't wear this very often, but I really do enjoy it. And this was the first Hermes that I got, and I love it so much. It's just so easy to wear. And all these Hermes bottles have a cute little illustration on the back of them. So that's the one for that one. Now for something completely different, I feel like the ones that I've talked about so far are more classic and classically masculine. This next one says on the bottle. I've showed it to you already. It is Dior Homme Intense. This was launched in 2011. Obviously, it's been reformulated since then. I'm sure there's so many other versions. This bottle I just got recently, so not too long ago, maybe a week ago. And this is definitely one of my favorite iris perfumes ever. It's a purple iris, it's cardamom, it's easy to wear. It smells a lot like Gris Charnel by BDK. So if you like Gris Charnel, you may like this one. And BDK has scents that are genderless. They're not marketed as being for men or for women. So I think that if you think of Gris Charnel as a genderless scent, then Dior Homme Intense is also genderless. Gris Charnel has tea as one of the notes. There's no tea in here, but it does get that same iris and that same yummy cardamom, and it just works so nicely here. So that's Dior Homme Intense. This is absolutely one of my favorite perfumes ever. It's my second bottle of it, and I will probably own many more bottles in my lifetime. I don't think that this one smells that different from the bottle I got 2 years ago, but I'm sure if you are a serious collector, you can go down that rabbit hole and see what the differences are and try them all. For me, what's easily available is just fine, and that's this. I will be wearing this all winter and all fall. In my head, this is definitely a scent for cooler weather because it's a little bit heavier. Everything else is light. I mean, Equipage Geranium is soapy, so that definitely lends itself to wear in the summertime. But Dior Homme Intense, I think of as being a heavier, warmer scent that I would like to wear in the wintertime. Lastly, we are in 2021, and that is the year that I tried and bought Zara Leather Jardin. This is the old box and the old bottle. They have repackaged this, but apparently it smells the same. I love Leather Jardin. It is very leathery. Again, not quite as leathery as Tom Ford Ombre Leather. That's always just like my reference leather. So we can go more leathery than that or less leathery, and I prefer less leathery. But this is also like an old school green chypre. There's lots of galbanum in here. There's leather in here. There's a mossiness, like an oakiness. It just, it does smell kind of masculine, but it is still so wearable. And I think if you appreciate green chypre perfumes, you really need to get your nose on this because this was an interesting one from Zara. I don't recommend blind buying this because I think that it has been a little bit polarizing. Some people try it and think it smells way too old school and way too masculine. I think it smells fine because I like old school, cheaper perfumes. So for me, this was absolutely perfect. I love things that are green and have like an herbalness, an earthiness, grassiness to them. And Zara Leather Jardin has all of them. So I quite enjoy this perfume. Also, even though it's Zara, it's not that cheap. I think it's about $50 these days. So something to think about before you buy a whole bottle, because you definitely don't want to spend that money and then just have it sitting there and not enjoying it. But I do like this one quite a bit. What I have found is that Zara has some nicer perfumes for men than they do for women. That's just my opinion. So when I go to Zara and I'm in the checkout line and I'm smelling the perfumes that they have there, all of those are feminine perfumes or are marketed to women, but they are just so sweet and really overpowering. And a lot of them just smell the same to me. I can't really, in the minute or two that I'm smelling them at the counter, I don't see how they're all different. Like they'll launch a line of vanillas, they'll launch a line of ambers. They kind of all smell boring and generic, but some of the men's perfumes are more interesting. There's one that smells like Dior Homme Intense, but just a little bit cheaper, but still gives you the same sort of notes and feel. Leather Jardin, I feel like the only reason they haven't reformulated it is because it must be very, very cheap for them to produce, and people keep buying it. So if people didn't smell the same thing, they would be really upset and annoyed. And Zara is like such a huge company where people are buying so many perfumes. I don't think that they would want to piss off that many people. Plus they launch like 100, 200 new perfumes a year. So why would they reformulate it instead of just renaming it? They could just call it something different, and that would be another perfume that people would buy when they're in the checkout line to buy their clothes or whatever else they're getting there. So I can't see them really reformulating this. And so even though the packaging is different, I suspect that it smells very much the same. I think that this is maybe the most polarizing and most challenging perfume in the ones that I've mentioned today. All the other ones are pretty safe and pretty cheap. Dior Homme Intense, I think, is the most expensive one because it's over $100. I mean, Equipage Geranium, I think I got at discounters, and then Eau de Hermes I paid full price for, and it was about $150. So those are the more expensive ones, but everything else is super easy to find and very affordable, and then also very, very wearable. They're almost the most easy perfumes to wear, even though they are the masculine perfumes in my collection. So that's them. Hope that you enjoyed watching this. I know people are always so curious about what I have in my collection and how much perfume is in my collection, but those are just the ones for men. I try not to buy things just to collect. I try to buy things that I would actually enjoy wearing and would reach for. And yes, sometimes I go trigger happy and buy the scents before I have even finished a sample, but all of these are staying in my collection and I have no regrets about adding them. Just really, really enjoy wearing them. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.